Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter and I'm so happy you can join me back for another Star Wars Comics review roundup. Here we have a very big milestone for this week because we have the return of Dark Horse Comics to Star Wars. That's right, Dark Horse has the license back for Star Wars comics. The first one is called Hyperspace Stories. This is part of a 12-issue maxi series, which is similar to Star Wars Adventures. It's all ages, and it's spanning the entire saga, as I just showed you. I have covers A and B, and it's just so nice to see the Dark Horse label emblazoned on the cover. I have not really been involved with Dark Horse comics back in the day because I just wasn't into a lot of the Star Wars published material back then, but I am so eager to jump in fully. As I already did on my channel, I have the review of the Star Wars Rebels trade paperback, which combines all of the Overseas Rebels content. So I have my review for that you could check out on our channel. But enough of that, because I want to get inside this story. This one's all about, as you could have guessed, the Clone Wars. We have Anakin, we have Obi-Wan, we have Padme. We have Padme, who is in peril. She goes to do this deal with this Wookiee senator. She's going to get some valuable item, and that's when a separatist swoop in, led by General Grievous, and that's when we have Padme sending a distress beacon to the Jedi Council, and that's when Anakin and Obi-Wan show up on the scene to try to save Padme. Obi-Wan fakes his death or fakes his capture, ends up springing a trap. Anakin is there. They fight off Grievous. At the end, the Wookiee senator that is also held captive alongside Padme sacrifices himself by pushing Grievous out of an airlock, sacrificing himself. And that's where we see the aftermath of his child, who has this stuffed animal that, to me, looks like it has the data, the precious data that was going to be at the handoff, sewn inside in case of an emergency like this were to happen. And that is where this issue leaves off. So what's really neat about these hyperspace stories is we're getting this throughway storyline. Now, the next issue is going to be between Luke and Leia, but I'm sure that whatever this stuffed animal is protecting data-wise, maybe it will show up in that. And I like this approach. I like how this is not having a framework story, a framing story outside of this era that they're currently telling, like we did with the Graffs, Lena Graff and all them in the Star Wars Adventures. This is focused on those stories at a time that are specifically in one location. So I'm very eager and curious to see how they're going to pull this through. But what I will say, for the content that's actually inside us, I've really enjoyed it a lot, right? This is written, first of all, by Amanda Diebert, and the artwork is Lucas Maragnan. But I think they capture the vibe of the Clone Wars very well. All the characters are just as you would expect from that series. And there's a lot of fun to be had with chopping up tons of battle droids and seeing Grievous and Obi-Wan face off in the earlier part of the Clone Wars. This is probably not soon after the Battle of Geonosis, I would imagine. So it's really neat seeing that, and just seeing the sacrifice that's laid out here for an all-ages book to deal with death. You see that the child is dealing with the passing of their father, who is just terribly, basically dead in front of her. So it's all about that kind of more mature tone for, I wouldn't say mature tone, but more mature themes that are, some things that kids have to deal with, unfortunately. So I'm very happy to see Dark Horse return to Star Wars comics. That wasn't all, because we do have Darth Vader issue number 26. This is that comic cover that people have been craving, and that's Darth Vader facing his number one enemy, and that is the sand. So this one is called Into the Sand. It is, of course, written by Greg Pak with artwork by Raphael Ienco. And this is Vader on a vision quest, sort of, because he's dealing with all these flashbacks. He has to go into a sandstorm to rescue Sabe, because there's going to be the Star Destroyer Executor, which is at his beck and call, which will destroy the factory that will basically create this thing. But Vader says hold off on that order because I need to rescue Sabe first. So we get a lot of flashbacks, probably more flashbacks in the story than any other Vader story, but they all hit. All these flashbacks hit. They got a little bit of an emotional response out of me just reading a lot of these things, seeing Anakin and Padme talking about sand, seeing new content around Anakin actually helping to save his mother during a sandstorm. So that was precursor to the Phantom Menace. So that was really cool information there. But by the end of the story, we have Darth Vader flying a podracer through a sandstorm, chopping at detritus and different kind of crazy pieces of machinery flying through that sandstorm. It's chopping with his lightsaber. It's one of the most badass sequences you will see Darth Vader in yet again, and it's just a lot of fun seeing that. But by the end of this, he ends up getting Piet to fire this turbo laser from the Executor, from the atmosphere down to the surface of the planet. And that's where it lost me, because I couldn't see where it was. So, like, I was confused about the blast. Padme is rescued by Darth Vader, who hides under this wreckage, along with the one character that is the friend of Anakin as he was a kid. Kitster. Yes, Kitster is with him. They are all safe getting out of that. And you see Vader carrying the body of Sabe, and the way we're seeing that Vader is carrying the body of Sabe, it's almost as if he's carrying Padme's body. So obviously Vader knows that this is not Padme. But the fact that he goes back there to save her, risk his own life, he could have easily succeeded in the mission by just blowing that thing up from orbit. But no, he wants to save her, and then he carries her body around with such, like, grace, I guess you could say. As much grace as you would see Darth Vader holding a limp body. So getting into some other things I really like seeing is the fact that Vader is able to use the Force to choke Piet to get him to do what he wants, because Piet knows that Vader would be at risk of being killed if the blast hit him, but he wants that to happen anyway. So that to me shows, okay, the power of Vader. Yes, we know that in Empire Strikes Back, he's force choking people to other ships. So I guess this is not really a big deal. This is like a non-issue, but to me, that was pretty cool. But this issue, yeah, it didn't have a lot of forward momentum, but it was very nostalgic in giving us those red visions of things we've seen, even up to the point where we see Anakin killing Tusken Raiders. So a lot of cool stuff happening there. And for the final issue that we're talking about this week, that is, of course, Doctor Aphra, issue number 23. It's called Machinations, written by, of course, Alyssa Wong, with artwork by Minkyu Jung. So this one, we have 3 different stories. We open up with the evil Doctor Aphra. I'll call her that because she is possessed by the Spark Eternal. The Ascendants have created this device which basically takes over Aphra's body, and now she is being possessed by another creature. She is now on board the flagship of the Crimson Dawn, talking to the Sabe there, and just getting in her head about what she wants. Meanwhile, we have everybody with Santa Staros. We have all these returning characters, including Tolvin, including Deepa, Dita, I believe that's her name. All these characters that Aphra has had relationships. Even her father is there. It's really neat seeing all these characters come together. The old professor from the first arc is there, and they're all trying to figure out what they have to do. But apparently, there might even be a thing between Tolvin and Staros. So could there be, something going on? What happens when Aphra comes to and knows that Tolvin and Staros could be a thing? There's going to be this big argument. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fight. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing. But anyway, these characters all go on this mission. They find out that Aphra has something that they need, which could be on this one planet. They all have something in common. It leads them to this one planet. The Crimson Dawn are already there, and that's where there's a battle between these ladies, including the father of Aphra, and the Crimson Dawn. And this moment was so fun. This felt like something that could have been in the Suicide Squad movie, whereas you have all these badass females just kicking butt and just hold no bars against these Crimson Dawn agents. It was freaking glorious. It was really fun. And they open up the door, and who is it that they're looking for? None other than 000 and BT. Yes, that's right. Those original droids, the evil droids from the original Darth Vader comic run and from the issue, the first volume of Doctor Aphra, are back. So we're really getting the band back together. Every person helps save Aphra from her untimely fate by the Spark Eternal. So that was just really cool seeing that all come into play. And you also have the character of Ariel and Just Lucky. They're actually working for Ronan, who we thought was dead at the end of this first arc, but is actually alive. And he is going up against his own sister, or his own aunt, I should say, Domina Tag. So he's got his guys that are going to be following Sana, And meanwhile, we have Ariel and Just Lucky, you go back to the flagship of Crimson Dawn, and now they are talking with the evil Doctor Aphra. So there's a lot going on with the storyline, but it continues to make me very, very intrigued by what's going to happen. It's a lot of fun. Colors, the artwork, everything about this issue is really cool, and it's of course great to see what is going on with 000 and BT. I think we've waited long enough for these guys to be reintroduced into the story, and this gets me wondering. It seems like they're pulling all stops on these characters. Could this be the last Doctor Aphra story we see, and maybe when we go into the Return of the Jedi era, maybe we're not going to have a Doctor Aphra comic for a while or something, because it does feel like we're getting to the end of like a big story beat for Doctor Aphra. Hey, maybe she doesn't come out of this. Maybe it's this tragic ending where she dies. Well, we have to read a lot more comics to find out what happens next. And speaking of what happens next, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you'll know what happens next, especially when you hit that bell icon for notifications in the future. Do go ahead and hit that like button, as it'll be best shared to more people around the globe to see this content. And do go ahead to share that with your friends as well, for all your Star Wars loving friends. That's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.